Welcome to Real Talk, where I give real answers to real questions from real worship leaders. If you are a real worship leader with a real question and you want a real answer, head right here and submit your question for a future episode. Got some good questions this week? Let's talk about it. I'm a worship leader. My team members, particularly the ones that need more time to learn their individual parts, never learn them in advance when I send the song list and the actual audio of the songs. This results in disorganized rehearsals, and some songs have to be abandoned entirely because they require some level of individual rehearsal for those who do not pick up songs as quickly. When others suggest songs, I learn them even if they are not my preference, but most of my team does not do the same when I pick the songs. I've tried to simplify the song choices to easy-to-learn songs, but still, what should I do? Okay, one of the things you need to do is to, I guess, stop enabling your team to think that they can just learn these songs at rehearsal. Because I just know from personal experience that I have done that, where it's like, okay, my teams, they're not really learning the songs before they come, and so we have to spend a lot of time during rehearsal figuring out how to play the songs, and I'm not just talking like how to play them together, but like people learning their individual parts. And I mean, I'm not like super hard on people who do that because it's never been like a huge problem in my teams, but from time to time there'll be a time when somebody's like, yeah, I didn't listen to the song, but I'll figure it out now. And that's never been like somebody always does that on my team. And so I just kind of let it slide. But from time to time, it can be like, I didn't even put any work in because I know that I'm going to have the chance to do it whenever I get to rehearsal. So my point is, you need to stop enabling them to think that way. And at some point, you've got to make the shift to say, okay, we are going to have our music learned, our parts learned, and when we show up to rehearsal, we're going to be ready to run through the songs. Now, how do you actually transition to that? Well, first of all, I would consider, and it sounds like you are doing this, but are you sending the songs out far enough in advance where your team can actually learn them? You said they never learn them in advance when I send the song list and the actual audio of the songs. So to me, it sounds like you're already doing that, right? Like you send it out in advance. You don't say how far in advance, but like at least a week in advance, for me, should be enough time for the people on a worship team to learn a song, as long as you're not doing like new songs every single week. But if you keep a relatively small repertoire of worship songs, they should be able to work through those and kind of pull it out of their mental catalog, even if they don't know it like 100%. So it sounds like you're doing that. But make sure you're sending it out to them at least a week in advance. And you're giving them the audio. I assume you're giving them the chords too. I don't think you said that. But it sounds like you're giving them everything that they need, in my mind, what somebody would need to learn a song. So I would go to one of those people and say, and pull them aside. Don't talk to them like in front of the whole team or scold your whole team, but just be like, hey, when I send out all of these resources, is there something that would help you more? Because I just feel like sometimes we show up to practice and it's not just you, but some people don't know their parts, and I'm just wondering, like, is there something more that I need to give you to help you learn those parts? And either they'll say, yes, I need this instead, that would be helpful for me, or they'll say, no, I have everything I need, and then it's a reminder to them, I need to learn my part before I show up here. And I'm not saying that they'll fix it perfectly the next time they show up, but, it at least serves as an initial reminder to them that I should know my parts before I show up to rehearsal. So if there's somebody on your team, this is a good first step. If there's someone on your team who you feel more comfortable having that conversation with them one-on-one, then go to that person and ask them that question. Now, at some point, you have to actually communicate to your team, hey, I feel like our worship rehearsals have been taking a while recently, like much longer than I think that they need to. And I think that could really be solved if we learned our parts before we show up. So I'm going to make all of the effort that I can to get you everything that you need to learn your songs in advance, your parts in advance. And I'm going to give it to you well in advance. And kind of put some of the blame on yourself, even though you're not really blaming yourself. But it sounds like I haven't done this in the past, even though it sounds like you have. But I haven't really done this in the past. But I'm going to take the responsibility and say, I'm going to work so hard to get people to show up prepared on time that they should have no excuse. And this way you aren't just like throwing all of the excuse on your team members, but you're actually trying to politely goad them into, for this season, we're going to be focused on this. So I'm going to work on getting you all of the things that you need in advance. If you find that there's something that you need that you don't have, please let me know, and I will do my best to get that to you as well. And then I really want to see how smoothly we can get our practices to go if we all show up with our parts learned and we're just learning how to play them together. And so use that as the initial starting off point. And then now you've set the expectation again, which, that's the other part. Have you ever communicated this expectation that people should learn their parts in advance? Or is it just an expectation that you think your team should be held to, but you've never actually communicated it to them? So communicate the expectation to them and then go from there and continually point them back to that. And don't let it slide the next time it happens, but talk to the person and say, we're really trying to move towards having our parts learned. So, and I'm not saying you like call them out in front of the whole team, but, after practice say, hey, I noticed you didn't have some of your parts learned. I really want to try to have our parts learned before we show up to rehearsal. And yeah, just keep pointing people back to that expectation now that you've said it. I refer to your YouTube video on choosing the right song key to suit the congregation, not the worship leader. Our worship leaders choose keys to suit their own vocal ranges, which often makes it impossible for the congregation to sing the songs. If we choose the right keys for the congregation and the worship leaders can't sing in that range, should the leaders be leading worship with vocals? All right, first of all, and I still haven't done this yet, making a mental note, which I'll probably forget as soon as I finish filming this video. I need to put a slot on the form where I can ask if somebody is actually the leader of their team or not. Because to me, this question sounds like, whoever asked this, that you aren't the leader of your team and you see the other worship leaders on your team picking song keys that you don't think are good song keys. Listen, I'm not going to fight a battle over song keys if I'm not the leader on the team. I might gently mention it to people as they pick song keys, but if I'm not the leader on that team, man, picking song keys, like, I do think it's important, but I don't think it's a battle to fight with the leaders on your team. Like, they're responsible for picking the song keys. If they don't think or if they don't know that our song should be friendly to sing for the congregation, mention it to them. But this isn't like I need to take a stand and be like, I can't believe you shouldn't be singing this if you can't sing it in a key that's friendly for the congregation. So just if that's the way that you're coming at this question, I'm not saying that you are, but if that is, then, and you're not the leader on the team and you just realize that it doesn't seem like people can sing along because they're hard to sing, mention something to your team leader about it, but it's not like something that you need to pick a fight over, if I'm being honest. Now, the other thing I need to clarify, and ever since I made the first statement that our songs should prefer the congregational key over the voice of the lead singer, I felt the need to clarify what I meant by that. I do not mean that those two things are diametrically opposed. I don't mean that we either pick a key that our singers can sing in or we pick a key that our congregation can sing in. I'm saying that as a vocal leader in your church, your vocal range and the ability to sing is hopefully better than the average person in your church. So you have a wider range, you're able to navigate a larger range of notes because you know how to navigate your chest voice and your mixed voice and your head voice, so on and so forth. Well, I think there's only three three voices that you sing in, but you know how to navigate between those so your range is bigger. I'm saying your congregation doesn't have as big of a range because they aren't a trained singer. They aren't singers by nature. They don't have that gift, so their range is smaller because they don't know all of those techniques. So I'm saying that if you are leading a song, you can choose a key that makes you sound as impressive as possible. But understand that you sounding as good as you possibly can is not the same as allowing your church the opportunity to sing. So instead of picking a key that allows you to sound as good as you possibly can, still pick a key that you can sing the song in, but do it with the preference for your church's vocal range. Do you see the difference? I'm not saying pick one or pick the other, and I'm not saying you sound horrible whenever you lead a song. I'm saying you're a trained musician. You can sing a wider range than your church, so forsake the I need to sing at the top of my range and sound amazing and have this vast range in the song, and just pick a song. Put the key in a key that your congregation can sing in, which you can sing in that key too. I'm not like picking some obscure range. I'm saying from C to C. Everybody has a C to C in their range, all right? And sometimes we got to stretch it outside of that. But pick that range so that your congregation can sing along with you. Don't try to sound as good as you possibly can if that means singing outside of a range that your congregation can sing in. All right? So quit viewing them as opposed to each other and view it as I'm going to serve my church by not sounding like Beyonce or Mariah Carey, who has 5 octaves of range or whatever, and that's an extreme example, obviously, but I'm not going to serve my church in that way because that's not how I serve my church. I serve my church by allowing them the opportunity to sing together because we teach and admonish one another. Not just the one person doing it, but we teach and admonish one another with psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. We do it together. Everybody is teaching each other as we sing together. So pick keys that allow your church to do that. That does not mean you have to pick songs that you can't sing in, all right? I'm not giving you a crazy range. Now, picking congregational-friendly keys is a way to improve your worship leading, but if you want 5 more ways, check out down in the description below the free audio training I put together called 5 Tips to Instantly Improve Your Worship Leading. In that free audio training, I will give you 5 tips that are pretty easy to do. You just have to be aware of them and make the conscious effort to do them on Sunday, and they will improve your worship leading to allow you to lead a time of worship that is engaging and to do it with confidence. So check that out down in the description below. Other than that, thanks so much for joining me. Until I see you in the next video, keep leading worship well.